Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of this 5-Door Media podcast series on sales, where we're speaking to some of the home service experts in the world of sales to get some insights from them, because we do know, as a marketing company, we do know that the leads mean nothing if they're not being transitioned into sales as well, because what we do know is that sales, are opportunities that you can turn into revenue, and then revenue turns into profit, profit turns into freedom, and freedom turns into impact. Let's get into today's conversation. Holly Moore is the founder and CEO of Maids and More, and a professional cleaning company serving Austin, Houston, and the surrounding areas. With over 15 years of experience in the cleaning industry, she saw a major gap in technology for service businesses and co-founded the Cleaning Software, a powerful platform designed to streamline scheduling, automate operations, and help cleaning companies scale. A true entrepreneur at heart, Holly is passionate about helping business owners run more efficient operations while maintaining top-tier service. She's also a longtime supporter of the Cleaning for a Reason, providing free home cleanings to individuals undergoing cancer treatment. Fun fact about Holly, her first business venture wasn't cleaning. It was actually raising and selling cattle as a kid in Texas. She's been running businesses since she was old enough to count her profits. Holly, welcome to the show.
Howdy, the Texans
here. There it is,
here.
howdy. Yeah. Awesome. How are you?
Howdy, thanks, and gig 'em. I'm also an Aggie, so sorry.
It's good to know. I won't say hook 'em or anything like that. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Horns down.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Man, just busy. Continuing to run my cleaning service. I am absent. Obviously don't have any. I wouldn't say I don't have anything to do with it. I definitely am not an absentee owner. But I do have a CEO and a COO, a director of marketing. I have everything in place, and Maids and More is just hit 8 million this year, and we're striving to get to 10 million in 2026. And it's all running itself. I'm not completely absentee. I just got off the phone. It was really weird. Today was our sales planning session for our sales team for Maids and More. And like, what are we going to do for our we were calling it Ascend to 10, like to get to that 10 million, and coming up with our goals and what we're going to have to do, and looking at our projections and our lead counts and our close rates and all different ideas to come up with how we're going to nail that sales number down. So that's what I've been up to, particularly today, but in life in general, I have two boys and a family, and I am a avid outdoorsman, and I just have been busy socially and obviously businesses. My husband also owns a business, so we're entrepreneurs everywhere.
I love that. Very cool. So, well, yeah, you're in a sales mindset already today, it sounds like. So this conversation for this season of the podcast is, the topic is sales, and with that, I've been asking all of our guests this fun question. Can you remember the first thing that you ever sold?
Oh, man. I've been a hustler from a young age.
Yeah.
I remember being really young, and my dad was single. My parents were divorced. And I remember trying to get him girlfriends. And I don't know that I could say that was selling, but I feel like I was selling him.
You're a wingman.
I was a wingman at like age 4. I was on it.
That's impressive.
So that's just what kind of comes to mind as the first one. But I have the gift of gab, and I do believe that a salesperson has definitely a type of personality. And there are some people that are not salespeople. So I'm definitely I'm kind of a chameleon. I can be process oriented and operation wise, but I can also sell, no problem. So, but I think it's important to find that sales personality. And I love selling. I also like projects, and I don't like doing the same thing all the time, day to day. So I probably wouldn't be a good long-term sales person.
Gotcha. That's good to know. Do you have a sale that you're most proud of?
Ooh. I am we just signed on one of the larger, I can't say names, but
it's fine.
A larger cleaning service onto the Cleaning Software just here recently. And I'm really excited about that one. Very excited. It'll be our largest to date.
When will that get announced?
Well, I have to get permission from the client.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
I think word's already spreading, so you should find out pretty soon.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't actually know the published date of this podcast either, so I guess that really doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank
Well,
you.
let's dive into the nitty gritty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your sales philosophy. How do you maybe look at sales differently than the average home service business owner? And I mean, obviously, you're ascend to 10. A lot of people have never said that sentence, or maybe they're sitting here listening to this podcast never thinking they will say that sentence. So you've obviously sold quite a bit of things in your life. How do you look at it differently than maybe some other people?
Well, I think in the home service industry, unlike the software industry, it's a 90-day sales process. It's a much different sales process. Home service industry is simple. It is instant gratification. It is a very short-term sell. And I believe in convenience. I think I spoke at the National Cleaning Convention of let's not make it overcomplicated. A simplified sales process, just like Chick-fil-A has made their sales process so simple. No matter how long the line you get in line, because you're going to be in and out, and it's just bam, 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 and it makes it easy for the customer. Our people that are reaching out for home services are there because they don't have time to do it. So they also don't have time to sit on the phone or go through an excruciating sales process. So our process, the way we go about it is we are simplified, not overcomplicated. I don't care how many kids, how many dogs, how many bathrooms. I am like, what is your square footage? Here's your price for that kind of clean. Obviously, I have a disclaimer in there that I may have to call you back if it's, for some reason way over the time that usually takes for that amount of square footage.
Sure.
But I just skip past all those people that we all sell around, the 10% of weird people. And I'm just like, I'll address them as they come. Let's get the majority of people. Let's get them a quote. Let's get it to them instantly. Like as soon as they click, they know the price. And then within 5 minutes, you have that person on the phone. 5 minutes. You've got 5 minutes to close that because they're instant gratification. They're on their phone. They've just got their quote. We're looking at it like not too bad. Boom, their phone blows up. You're on the phone. I see you've gotten your quote. What day are you looking for your cleaning? And you go straight to the close. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, I got to have it this Friday. Perfect. I have it.
Boom.
There's obviously lots of closing strategies for objections and stuff like that. But I mean, that's how Maids and More has done it. We have an auto quoting form. Immediately get their price. We have a sales staff that's calling them within 5 minutes, getting them on the phone or via text. We're texting, emailing, calling within 5 minutes. Not one lead comes in that doesn't get handled in 5 minutes. And that is where we close 70% of our leads.
You're at a 70% close rate.
I'm at a 50% close rate. 70% of those come from the first day or within that first hour of them getting the quote.
That's amazing. Amazing. And
yeah, it's crazy.
Simplicity and speed is what that sounds like. Those are like the two things that really, that stand out to you on what you believe in the world of sales.
Yes, absolutely.
I am so with you on both of those things. I tell people all the time, the idea of like simplicity, freaking Amazon, when they put in that one-click purchase, I don't think they realized how much they changed the mental expectations for like the informational or just consumer person on the internet. With that one-click purchase, they changed so much, right? Yeah. I often say like BuzzFeed, when in their heyday, they are the ones that came out with those things called listicles. Mm-hmm. Do you know what a listicle is? It's like an article that's like a list. So like BuzzFeed days was like top 7 things you need in your kitchen, or top 4 reasons why Ariel is your favorite Disney princess. They had all those like weird articles, but at the same time, that type of content blew up so much on the internet that they changed the people's expectations while scrolling. It's like, I'm not interested in an article unless it breaks it down in a list. Like that's that's the only type of article we enjoyed reading. And like Amazon did that same thing with expectations on how quickly they can, purchase something.
Exactly.
So my next question might lead into I guess what you just answered, but like, what is one thing you think maybe home service business owners are missing in their sales process that they could like improve?
I definitely think that you need to instantly give quotes. And there's a lot of talk back and forth about that, but I guarantee you a consumer that is going to say no to price. I think I even had a study up one time that actually had the statistical data. They just want to see with it if it's realistically within their price range is what they're doing when they go to get a quote. If they go to your website and they have to fill out a form where they know somebody's about to call them and hassle them and tell them about their value, and then they have to like wait on the thing, and then they're like, oh, I just wanted a general idea of how much it would cost to see if it was within my budget.
Yeah.
Those people are going to hang up whether you tell them their value or not when you get to the number, if they are literally price generated. Like, so just give them up front, weed those people out that aren't going to be within that price range anyway. And now you've got viable people that are like, oh, that's not too bad. Now you can close them. Get to the price. Like, I understand you, when you get them on the phone, you do need to sell yourself and express your value. That's a very, very important part of the sales process, is expressing your value. But sometimes most of the majority of people are price oriented. So give them the price. You've already overcome objection one. Now you can go on, and different sales objections you can handle as you go on throughout the booking process. And then when they sign up, another key thing is, I've seen, and especially even in some softwares, it's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and book you for Thursday. And then I'm going to send you a link, and then you've got to sign a contract. And then I'm going to send you, after that, you're going to come back, and then you're going to sign another link to get in your credit card. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like 5 steps. It should be get the quote, call them, get their credit card, book them, done.
Yeah.
The confirmation email. Yeah. The confirmation email that you send out to them has your customer policies and procedures, and it has a little term in there that says, by accepting this quote, you are accepting the following terms and conditions. You don't have to send them a contract, make them sign it, get it back, store it, attach it to their file. It's overcomplicated.
You make it as easy as possible for them to spend money with you.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what I was saying. I feel like that's what Amazon did. You know, like they make it, because I mean, if that one-click purchase option wasn't there, I think I would buy less. It's so easy to do it and spend money on it. I don't have to get out my credit card. I don't have to type in my address. I don't have to remember that freaking 3-digit code on the back of my credit card when I just got a new one. Right? You know what I mean? They just made it so easy to spend money with them. Exactly.
And getting that credit card information over the phone right there when you're getting the booking, rather than having to send a follow-up email to get, I mean, you do have your people that are like, no, I'm not giving it to you over the phone. And yes, you have to send them a secured link. But again, I think we need to think about convenience for the masses of people and stop forming all of our sales processes around the difficult people.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening. I see it all over the nation with cleaning services. I'm like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about, I'm like, how many of those do you have a day? Like, it's 1 out of 10, right? So why are we planning around the 1 out of 10? Just forget about it.
Well, I think what you're describing is quite literally the definition of anxiety. It's like our brains go to the worst possible scenario that could happen and ignore all the good things that could happen. I think maybe that's literally the Webster Dictionary of anxiety. Right. But anyway, which that is just, as you know, something that comes with owning a business sometimes, that little thing called anxiety, right? So let's talk about pricing. Why do you think it is people avoid that topic of pricing until they absolutely can't anymore?
Because they're scared that a limiting belief that the person is going to think it's too expensive. And, or they are overpriced and they can't sell it with a price up front because they're so overpriced that would scare them away. So that is another subject. Like if you're trying, you have boutique type sales tactics, and then you have, scaling, middle of the road, in market value range of pricing, right? So your people who are trying to sell bougie and boutique up here, they're not going to want to give that price up front. they're going to want to try to, their close rates are going to plummet. They're going to need twice as many leads to sell the bougie people. So if you are on a bougie model, stick to your bougie model. I get why you wouldn't want to give the price up front, because how do you justify a deep clean at $1,500? You know, like I can see why you wouldn't want to send that quote out. But if you're going to stay, you know, in your competitive market zone of everybody around you, and if you're middle of the road to the higher end, I think they've pretty much gotten quotes everywhere else. Who they're going to go with, it could be $100 more expensive, but they're going to go with the person who got them their quote the fastest and called them first, like all the time.
Yeah.
So you're losing your competitive advantage by not giving them. Like I go to a website and I'm like, oh, I got to fill this out. I'm like, nope, moving on. Next website. Oh, I can get a quote right here. Boom. Okay. Call this number to book. I'm in, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's real, because I mean, I think you said it earlier. It's so true. The people that are looking for this service, the reason they're looking for the service is they don't have time.
Exactly.
Stop requiring them to spend a lot of time to spend money with you. Also, like going back what you were saying, like they're just not confident in what they're selling is worth that value. I had someone on the podcast yesterday, John Carmazin, and I love this quote. He said, "Stop selling out of your own wallet and start selling out of your customer's wallet." I love that. That was such like a game changer for me, because stop thinking just because it's expensive to you, it's way too expensive for the person you're trying to sell to. They know what they're getting into, right? They're the ones that contacted you. Stop selling out of your own wallet. Start selling out of your customers. Change. That's such a good mindset shift.
Yeah. And another thing, since we're on pricing in particular, because I'm a numbers person, I'm super passionate about this. If you like, you know how many cleaning service or even any service industry people, they don't actually have set pricing. Like when people call them, they'll just give them like a range. And I'm like, dude, when you pull up to Chick-fil-A and you're like, can I have some pickles and cheese and tomatoes on my sandwich and maybe a tea and some fries? They're like, yeah, but I don't really know what the price is going to be. But when I put it all together, I will let you know at the window. Would anybody shop there? No. You have got to figure out a way to get your prices fixed and not on a variable scale or hourly even. The risk of hourly is it's somebody that has the option to buy with a fixed price customer versus an hourly is always going to go with fixed, just because they're going to say, well, this could take 8 hours, which could be 1,000, but this person's for sure 690. I'm just going to go with a fixed. So that's another thing I see in the home service industry is the variable rate pricing instead of just a set rate price.
Gotcha. Which, yeah, it is. It's more risk on the company to do that. But if you're getting more sales due to that pricing structure, it's probably worth it.
Yep, exactly. And then you always have your clause in there that, you know, this is, if it for some reason requires more time than I've expected, I can call you and request additional price at that time.
A lot of people wouldn't think you can actually even have a clause like that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can put anything.
Do whatever you want.
Actually, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's your clause.
It's your customer policies and procedures, and they're agreeing to them. So when they select your service.
Gotcha. Okay, so, well, first of all, you've mentioned Chick-fil-A a few times. Are you like a big Chick-fil-A like fan girl?
Well, I don't want to use. I think it's the best analogy because it's a higher, like it's fast food, right? So. Yeah. I don't want to use the analogy of McDonald's because I feel like McDonald's quality is really low. But I feel like Chick-fil-A is an awesome example. They are amazing. Right? Yes, they're high-end fast food.
100%. Well, that leads to my next question, right? And I think you could easily answer the question, what makes a good fast food restaurant compared to a great fast food restaurant? And Chick-fil-A would probably like fill that answer square, right? Of all the things they do, they take it to the next level. My question for you is, in your mind, what makes a good salesperson compared to a great salesperson? What are the things that a great salesperson does that a good one doesn't that really sets them apart?
One, they're not too wordy and they're quick and precise with their words as far as getting the customer to value, and they listen. Active listening, because the customer is giving you your sales script that you're supposed to use. You need to listen to their needs, be the solution, and then go in for the close. So I would say a great salesperson is going to be the solution and try and go in for the close. I would say that's the two most important things that I train and that I look for, and I think we should all look for in a salesperson. What do you think? What's your favorite?
Don't be afraid of the close.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
a big part of it.
Yeah, a lot of them are. They're scared of the close, and when you go in for one sales close tactic, and they stiff arm you, go back for the next toolbox and the next toolbox, and like if we listen to sales calls, and if they don't actually actively try to close them at least twice, that's a red flag, and that.
Oh yeah, big red flag.
Yeah, and that's in retrain process for sure. So actively listening, be their solution, and close. And your sales process, a good salesperson doesn't need, they may only take 30 seconds on the phone to get the credit card and get it booked. You don't you don't have to spend hours, but then you've got Meemaw who wants to talk and doesn't have any friends. Sorry, my Texas accent's coming out.
It does come out every now and then. It's great. I love it. Yeah.
So Meemaw doesn't have any friends, and she just wants to get to know. And that salesperson, you're gonna have to take 20 minutes with Meemaw and make her feel really good, and you're gonna have to listen, and that's okay too. You've got all types of buyers, so the salesperson understanding their type of buyer and how to handle each one of them and that just comes with being that salesperson, right? You kind of got it or you don't. The gift of gab and listening.
Well, I think like you were describing too, which I love your accent. My wife is from upstate New York, and like every now and then, she's lived in Indiana now, I think as long as she did in New York, but there's certain words where that New York accent comes through, and it's the cutest thing in the world to me. Like, it's like salad. Like hard A's, it comes through, and I always think it's funny because like she'll never fully get rid of that New Yorker, right? Even though she lives in Indiana,
for sure.
I think what you're describing is empathy, and I think you were asking me like, which nobody has, by the way. No one's like shot the question back at me yet.
Yeah, I want to hear. I want to hear what you have to say.
I think empathy is the biggest thing that really separates like a good salesperson to like a great salesperson. It goes back to what you were saying, like stop being in the mindset of like you're just selling them a service and switch it to like I'm selling them a solution. And I think a lot of people on this podcast series so far, they've talked about, we forget that these people contacted us. Like nobody, like rarely has cold outreach been a part of the conversations we've had on this podcast. You know, like no cleaning company is just buying a phone book of numbers and just going down the list, trying to sell people cleaning that didn't ask for it. Like a lot of these conversations in home service, they contacted you, right? And I feel like there's a lack of confidence in understanding that. Like they have a problem and it is bad enough that they are willing to, humble themselves. And a lot of times in the cleaning world, that's 100% real. They've humbled themselves enough to say like, hey, my problem is this bad. I'm willing to pay you money for it. Help me solve this problem. And if if that salesperson's response is like, how can I get the most money out of this person, rather than what is the best solution to the problem they're coming to me with?
Exactly.
That's the difference to me, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it.
I'm glad you approve of my answer because, the host got to answer a question today. How about it? So you mentioned this a little bit, but like training is a big part of this. And I know you said like if you're hearing at least, not 2 times in a call, then go for that close, they go back to training. What does training look like in your world? And this, I've heard answers all over the board with this question that I've asked. But like if somebody is applying for a job to, sell at either one of your companies, honestly, like, and they get the job and they start, what does that training process look like?
Very good question. First of all, the thing that comes along with the application is a personality test. I do not put a salesperson type personality in a sales position. So I give them a personality test along with the application to make sure that they kind of have the personal requirements. For instance, if you have a super detailed person who is meek and mild, they need to be operations. They're never going to survive. Even though they might have had a really good interview, you really like the person. So personality test is the first thing. Then when we offer them the job, they go in, we have an SOP, like a training manual that has all of our scripts of exactly what we say. So it's all documented. Of course, they just love reading that. That's super fun. They have a list of sales objections and how to overcome them, and then they'll listen to a ton of training calls that we already have pre-recorded from different scenarios. So like, here's a make ready that has that doesn't have all the just the weird stuff, that you're going to have to work through. So we have all those pre-recorded training calls already recorded, so they listen to those. We also have a sales manager. And the sales manager is the one that is going to be in charge of training them. So they will shadow her for like maybe a day. And then she will turn it over to them and let them do the keying process administrative part as she's talking. Then after she gets done with the talking part, then she lets them do the talking. And she does the typing and the actual booking, because it's a lot, to try to concentrate on all of it all at once. Mm-hmm. And so then she'll do the talking, or they'll do the talking. She'll do the typing or the admin part on the CRM wise. And then, and then eventually, they'll try to take over both, and she's going to shadow them for about a week and a half. And then it's sink or swim and listen to phone recordings. Like the new people are constantly their phone recordings are being listened to.
Is that by the sales manager?
Mm-hmm. That is part of her job. She will screen phone calls and different recordings from all of the salespeople just to make sure.
Gotcha. And so how long total process was that for training? Is that like a 2-week process? I was trying to add up the days you were mentioning.
I mean, you know what? I don't want to put a number on it, right? I mean, some people can jump in there and be like, in a week, they're like, oh, she's a natural. We're good to go. She's off to the races. And then some people may take 2 weeks. So I think it depends on the person.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned at some point it gets to be like that sink or swim. What are some KPIs or like metrics you look at that is telling that they're sinking or they're swimming? Like, what are some things you look at other than just the calls and like the vibe of the calls that they're on? What like sales metrics or KPIs are you looking at?
Right. In the very beginning, they'll be stuck at the bottom of the caboose, and they'll be stuck with all of the follow-ups.
Yeah.
The older leads that we're most likely not going to close anyway, because if you don't close them within 5 minutes or 5 days, you got like a maybe 10% chance of ever closing them. So we'll make them go through those leads, because those are the fun ones. Those are the, and they can mess up.
Where you earn your stripes, they say.
Yes,
right?
You earn your stripes.
And if you close one of those,
oh man, you're jumping up.
We're having a party. Yeah, you earn a lot of stripes that day. Yeah,
exactly. So they're on those follow-up calls for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we really start to get them on like third ring, and then we'll finally turn it on to where it's simultaneous ring, and everybody will answer the calls as, no particular order. But the KPIs that we look for, so in that first time, obviously we're looking to make sure that they have the work ethic, because most salespeople are remote, that they have the work ethic, and that they've converted enough follow-ups in one day. Like, what was she doing? She got to 20 follow-ups in one day. She should have been at 40 or 50. So we're looking at the number of interactions that they're having a day and how much productivity that they're having within the CRM. And then when they obviously go on to main sales and actually selling an active hot lead, our CRM can break it down to where we can measure their lead to close ratio. And we look at those daily. We look at close rates daily. We look at individual close rates. We do not pay bonuses based on individual close rates. And I know that sounds weird, because most people do, right? And that's how they tack their sales people against each other and like really get some high producers. We go it as a team. So we measure our team sales rate. And everybody bonuses off of the entire sales team. So instead of them competing against each other, they're running those daily close rates, and they're trying to pick that person up. Be like, hey, what's going on? Like, let me help you out here. Like, we need to get our team close rate up. So we look at close rates. We look at number of activities. We also break down, we have daily, weekly, and monthly goals of number of routine cleanings booked and number of one-times booked. So they're constantly measuring against their month goal of like, I need 390 one-times booked and I need 119 routines. and they're constantly measuring those every day to see how far away they are from their goal. So I would say those are the basic 3 things: number of activities, close rate. They're bonused off of 3 sections. 1, did they hit their close rate? 2, did they hit their number of routines booked goal? And then 3, did they hit their one-time goal? And then if they do, they're bonused on each of those categories.
Gotcha. And the one-time goal, like all of those are percentage based, right? Like you're not, you need 10 one-times, or you need 10 or recurring, or is it all the one-times that come in, you need to be hitting a certain percentage close rate on those?
No, we take the one-times and the routine close rate and average them together for the average close rate. But we do measure them separately.
Yeah.
We just don't bonus off of that. It's together. But they have a number of actual number of one-time cleanings and a number of routines that they have to hit. And they have to hit it as a team and get bonused as a team, which is unique to mine. Not a whole lot of people do that.
Yeah. Well, no, I like it. Because, I mean, there's no single individual that can be stronger than a team that's all going at the same time together. So you're the first person I've asked this to, or had this conversation with, that mentioned having remote employees. Not to say the people I've interviewed so far haven't had them, but you're the first one to bring it up. What are some lessons that maybe you've learned about having remote employees, especially in a sales world, which accountability is huge, right? I mean, our office here is hybrid. We have people that work in office or remotely, accountability and things like that. But you've also mentioned in the software, you're able to see how many follow-ups they've done and like things like that. But like, what are some lessons you've learned along the way from having a remote team?
One is those salespeople, and if they're getting credit card information, that we have like a confidentiality policy. Like they're not allowed to write anything down, anybody's personal information down, and leave it on their desk or anything like that. They have to directly input it into the CRM. One thing I encountered was people who are handwriters, and they were wanting to write everything down, and then our customer information is laying around in an insecure location that
terrifying.
I don't even know who's walking in there.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. 2 is...
Speaking of anxiety, my brain's going to like the worst possible thing that could go. Like someone's working from home and they think they grabbed their homework off of mom's desk, but it's really a bunch of like credit card numbers, and they take it to school, and kids my brain just went down that rabbit hole of the liability with that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you can't control the environment there. Another thing is that when we say if you're going to work remotely, you need to be dedicated in a space in your area. You are not, yes, you can get up and go to the bathroom and to the kitchen, but you cannot have your child in the background screaming. This isn't a stay-at-home job, so I don't have to pay a babysitter. That is not the case. You need a designated area that's quiet, professional, that you can hear and do your job 8 hours a day that you're getting paid for. Not, I can run out here and water obviously they go water their plants for 10 minutes. That's considered a break, but not float in my pool and, answer the sales call. So getting that established at the very beginning is really, really important, because people, I think, got lazy during COVID, and they were like, work from home. I get to like eat bonbons and watch my show and not really work, but that's not really what it's about. So you definitely have to monitor their productivity and make sure that expectations are out front. Now, they can work in their pajamas. It's totally fine with me. Unless they're on a Zoom call, they at least need to get waist up.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the hardest. But I think when you're measuring productivity and the team is keeping each other accountable, you'll know if somebody's not doing what they're supposed to.
God, what a dreamlet that would be. Just take like fun sales calls while floating in a pool. That'd be great. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not saying it might not be doable, as long as they're, if they're productive and their sound quality is good and they have their computer and they key it directly in. I'm okay with it.
It's better not be my laptop in a pool. I'll tell you that much. That's a personal owned laptop. Yeah.
And if they work from home, they have to provide their own technology, and it has to be good, and their internet has to be good. Otherwise, they are not allowed to work from home.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Did you ever work a remote position?
I haven't worked in my office since 2015.
Yeah.
I haven't been in an office. I've always worked from home because remotely I can be, pop up on any computer, even in 2015. So I actually just recently moved back into an office. The cleaning software I do a podcast also. The cleaning software has a podcast, and I was like, my dogs were barking and my kids were walking in, and I'm like, this is impossible. And then I also have an assistant that works with me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to see my husband in his underwear. And I was just like, that's it. So I actually did sublet a little office, and now I'm back to working in an office. And I honestly think I love it so much more. It's so much more peaceful when I go home because it's like I'm home.
Home is home.
Home is home.
I agree. I worked at before we started our agency, I worked at an agency. We'll be 10 years old this year, so over 10 years ago. And it was fully remote 10 years ago. So we were doing it before it was cool, right? Before COVID changed everything. And when I left and started ours, I intentionally decided we will not be a fully remote agency. Because I need people. I need creative conversations, not just over Zoom. I intentionally need an office. Does it cost more? Absolutely. But at the same time, I just function so much better if I'm around my people rather than having to schedule a Zoom call all the time. So I'm with you. People need
people for sure.
I agree with that completely.
That's why we work in the cleanings or in Maids and More. We actually work in teams rather than solo cleaners because people need people. And I found out that those teams stay longer if they have a partner because they're not so bored when they go out. But it does cost more money to run teams. You're more profitable with a solo cleaner. But I think your employee retention is a little bit better with a team. So you got to sacrifice.
Completely agree. Completely agree with that. Okay. Technically, my last real question. We always end the show with a fun "Would you rather" question. But
I love fun. Let's go.
Okay. Well, the first real question. So the goal of this podcast is I want people to be able to listen to this and 10 minutes later have one takeaway that they could implement quickly and that could potentially help move that needle. Obviously, this conversation is the sales needle. But, I think we get bogged down sometimes thinking about every change or every pivot we make has to be this massive change. But I'm a big believer in micro changes equal macro differences.
Absolutely.
Give me something that someone could listen to this that maybe they're not doing in their sales process for their home service company that they could pivot and change in 10 minutes, and that one thing could help move the needle.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Even
5
better.
minutes.
Love it.
You got 5 minutes after that request.
I was gonna say set a timer. Yeah.
Yep. 5 minutes. Just try it. If you don't try anything I said, because a lot of the stuff about set pricing and instant quoting and a lot of that's going to take that's going to be a lot of micro changes to get there. But just tomorrow, try it. Tell your sales people when that quote comes in, call them back, call, text, and email them. Call them first. Hopefully you get them on the phone. If you don't, text them and email them within 5 minutes of the phone ringing. Just see what it does.
Love that. Speed to lead, right? There's a cheesy expression because it works, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite expressions is honestly about expressions. There's truth in the cliches, right? Things become cliches for a reason. Speed to lead has become a cliche for a reason. Love that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. You ready for some fun?
Oh yeah, always.
Right.
Let's go.
So we do, like I said, a fun sales themed would you rather question on every one of these episodes. So this one is today. Would you rather have a 100% close rate, but every call takes 2 hours? That hurts your 5 minutes there. Or have a 10% close rate, but every call takes 30 seconds? And I don't want to give you enough time to do the math of what that would equal.
100%. Okay, okay, wait. I would rather have 100%, which each sells taking 2 hours. Yeah, but does it have to take 2 hours, or could I retrain them to make that shorter?
No, this is how this is how it works. You can't bend the rules on a would you rather. It's worded very specifically for a reason.
I would take 100% with the 2 hours, and then I would fix it.
What are
So
we
I am going to say 10%.
10%, but
I
each
would-
sales call is only 30 seconds or
Well, it depends how many
100%
leads.
close
It
rate.
also depends how many leads you have. So if I had 100 leads, I'd take 100% or 100% at 2 hours. If I had 1,400 leads, I'd take 10% at the other.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
You kind of broke the rules, but it's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
It's no big
the
deal.
100% at 2 hours.
100% at 2 hours. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for
Well,
listening
hold on,
to
wait.
this episode.
Wait.
Sorry.
No. What would you do?
No, see,
Yes.
you keep doing that to me.
Podcaster on podcaster, it happens.
See, the way you talked about like how the sales world is different for like your software that you've learned compared to like your home service that you've learned. 2 hours to me is like a dream for like to sell a marketing retainer. That'd be awesome if those sales only took 2 hours, right? You were saying it's a how long of a process for like
90-day process.
Yeah, it's a
and
90-day
probably
process.
6 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours. Like we're cutting records here if I'm only taking 2 hours to like close a new marketing retainer. So I'm closing 100%, but only takes 2 hours. That's my answer.
Nice. I like it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank everybody who listened to this episode. Hope you're able to take away some real, actual insights to help you close more deals in your home service business. As always, we say the best market in the world doesn't matter if there's no one there to seal the deal. Sales is that final door of our 5-door ad strategy. And luckily for you, Holly just dropped some serious wisdom on how to walk through it with confidence. Holly, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we wrap up, where can people connect with you?
Oh, yes. So maidsandmore.com or igotdust.com if you want to go check out, because Maids and More is actually my last name, so it's Moore. You could check out my cleaning service. Cleaning service owners do it. I check out other cleaning service owners' websites all the time. Check out all the different things we have. And then you can even put in a quote if you want to see how our instant quote works. Just let us know.
You're going to get a call
so
within 5 minutes. Yeah.
You better. And just let me know so I can delete that lead as not a viable lead so it doesn't hurt our numbers. And then secondly, I am full-time, 100% all in on the residential cleaning industry for the cleaning software. So it is thecleaningsoftware.com. We are mainly residentially focused. We do have plans to get into other service industries in the future, but right now we are residential cleaning focused. So we'd love for you to come to our website, check it out. We have a 30-day free trial right now. You can just play around for 30 days for free, or you can sign up for a demo and we can show you, hopefully solve a lot of your problems that you have.
Love that. Well, Holly, thanks again for being here. It was great to connect with you again. And just hopefully you guys, like I said, you're able to take away a lot of little nuggets that were dropped during this podcast series. We have so many more episodes planned in this series on the topic of sales. So make sure you tune in to this podcast as we continue to drop these episodes. Holly, thank you, and we'll see you soon.